BBC News at midday. The British Retail Consortium says a government plan for supermarkets to cap the price of some basic food items will not make a jot of difference to prices because of other factors including the soaring cost of energy, transport and labour. Ministers say the plan is in its early stages but would be voluntary. The Shadow Work and Pension Secretary Jonathan Ashworth blamed government policies.
It is extraordinary. I mean, Rishi Sunak is now like a sort of latter-day Edward Heath with price controls. But look, we've got an inflation problem, and the reason we've got such an inflation problem in this country is because of 13 years of failure where we've not invested in sustainable energy, we cut our gas storage, and we're not improving the labour supply. We could take measures now to get inflation under control and to grow our economy.
The Health Secretary Steve Barclay has acknowledged that some of the facilities included in the government's commitment to provide 40 new hospitals by 2030 will be refurbished sites rather than built from scratch. He was pressed on the BBC's Sunday with Laura Kuenssberg programme about the repeated Conservative Party pledge that all 40 would be brand new.
Some of the schemes include, for example, a hospital being gutted and fully refurbished. If I look at Charing Cross, for example, that's exactly what we'll be doing, and we'll be starting work to decant some of the facilities and then refurbish. So there's a range of things.
Yes, but
we're sticking with those schemes, but we're accelerating those schemes, which include 5 brand new hospitals.
The people of Turkey have gone back to the polls in a presidential runoff election, the first in the country's history. It's between the long-term leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and his main challenger, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. Both candidates have voted this morning. In the first round earlier this month, President Erdogan won 49.5% of the vote, just over 4 percentage points more than his rival. Here's our Middle East correspondent, Anna Foster.
What happens in the next 24 hours or so will really change the track of this country. You have Recep Tayyip Erdogan in power for 20 years, an authoritarian leader. Many people say too much so, but he presents it as a powerful position, somebody who can really lead this country on to greater things. And then the challenger, the man who all of the opposition parties have really coalesced around as a single candidate, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, a quietly spoken former civil servant. He talked about a more secular Turkey, about democracy, things like a return to free speech, for example.
Ukraine says Russia's overnight drone assault on Kyiv was the biggest since its invasion began 15 months ago. Officials say 40 of the 54 drones launched by Moscow targeted the capital on the day it celebrates the anniversary of its foundation. Most of the drones over Kyiv were shot down, but one man was killed by falling debris. Other Ukrainian cities also came under drone attack. 2 men have been charged after yesterday's rugby premiership final at Twickenham was disrupted by Just Stop Oil protesters. The game between Sale and Saracens was briefly delayed. Simon Jones reports.
24 minutes into the match, 2 protesters ran onto the pitch, throwing orange powder into the air. The men, a doctor and a construction worker, were escorted away by stewards to cheers from the crowd. Scotland Yard says Patrick Hart from Bristol and Samuel Johnson from Suffolk have been charged with aggravated trespass. They will appear in court in London tomorrow. Commander Carl Gordon from the Met said the incident caused frustration to both the players and spectators, and police would not hesitate to take robust action when protest led to serious disruption.
A zoo that became famous when its chimpanzees starred in the PG Tips tea adverts is celebrating its 60th anniversary. Twycross Zoo in Leicestershire was founded in 1963 by Molly Badham and Natalie Evans. They were initially business rivals who both ran pet shops. The zoo is now home to one of the largest primate collections in Europe. BBC